Hello ladies and gents and everybody in between. Today I'm going to do a hopefully short video on how to make some costumes for your own Tsum Tsums. If you do not have a Tsum Tsum, they are available in some Disney stores. They look like this, they're really cute. I put the bow tie on Dale, so the bow tie doesn't come with them. Or they have them at Downtown Disney, at World of Disney. That's where Jacob and I got our Tsum Tsums. They make them in tons of different kinds. There's tons and tons available what was going on with my words there? I kind of just stuttered all over the place. They have tons available online, and they're super cute. And they come with standard costumes, like the Pluto one here came with a green collar, and then Mickey had his traditional red shirt and black pants. But I wanted to make some costumes for my Tsum Tsums that looked like the outfits that are seen on Buena Vista Street in Disneyland California Adventure. So what I did is I went to Michael's and I just bought tons and tons of felt, because it's like, what, 33 cents I think is what I paid for an individual square, and you could pretty much find any color there. The only thing they didn't have were like plaids, so I had to make my own. So I bought some fabric markers and I just kind of drew on the felt and imitated that I had plaid. The reason why I wanted to do this is because they don't make these kind of costumes for the Tsums. They only do them in their traditional outfits. So if there's like an outfit that you really like from a particular land, or even a particular theme park that you want to recreate, you can do that very easily. So I'm going to show Dale first because I feel like he's going to be the easiest. What I did with them, since in the park they have these little sweater vests that go over their shirts, I took some fabric glue, which I ran out of, unfortunately. Let me see if I can find it. I have the empty bottle here. It's in here, I promise. This is why jump cuts are here. This is no-sew fabric glue. It's been destroyed because I've used so much of it. And it's again at Michael's. I think they had a big bottle. I just had the little one because I used it a long time ago. They have that. Or I'm pretty sure you could probably use E6000 if you have that available to you. So I just fabric glued the like sweater vest piece onto like the shirt piece, because it was just easier than hand stitching it all in. And I used felt because it seemed like it was going to be easier to use, and also it kind of just matches with like the color scheme better. The Tsums look so cartoony anyways, and they have like that comical look to them. I didn't really want to take away from that by doing really nice fabrics, and so I used the felt for that reason. So I'm just going to do the hat first, and I'll show you how I did this one. If you know how to sew, then you obviously do not need to be watching this, because I'm an amateur when it comes to sewing. I only know what I know from a home ec class that I took back in 9th grade. So I really am not in any position to be teaching how to sew properly, because I'm not even sure if I'm using a good technique. It's just one that has worked for me over the years whenever I've needed to sew things. So what I'm doing is I'm just tying the back. And I think a lot of people have this perception that stitching things up and sewing things is really difficult, and it's actually not. I'm clearly having issues right now, but I promise it's not normal. I'm much better at this. It's because I'm being filmed. So you tie a knot at the back, and it's easy. You just do like maybe four ties, just so that there's adequate strength. And I want it to be a bigger knot too, because with the felt I've noticed that the string tends to rip straight through, and so I need a bigger knot at the end. So this is the base piece where the hat will stick out from the head, and then this will be the actual top part. So another thing that you need to be thinking about whenever you make these is make sure to cut your felt or whatever fabric you're using according to the size of your Tsum. You just like make sure you measure it out first, especially with like costume pieces like this, because you'll want to make sure that it stretches to the bottom of your Tsum. If you'll notice with all the Tsums, they don't actually have any costume that goes down past their stomach, because this part you're supposed to be able to stack on each other. Tsum Tsum in Japanese literally means stack stack. So if you'll notice, they don't have anything underneath. And so for that purpose, you'll want something that stretches to each corner of your Tsum and that it won't go over unless you want it to, but then it kind of defeats the purpose of like tsum tsumness. So make sure that you measure all that out when you cut it, although I'm assuming you would do that anyways. So I'm gonna start with one stitch. Can you even see this? Okay, good. I'm gonna just have to adjust my hand motion. So I'm making sure that the knot goes underneath the hat so that you can't see it, and then I'm gonna start by going straight down, and I'm gonna show you how I was taught to make a, my teacher called it basically saving your place while you're stitching. So when you go through, and it doesn't matter which side you do it on, I suppose, but when you go through and you come back up, which is super simple, you don't pull it all the way through this time. Make sure you leave it so that you have the knot, or that you have this big loop at the end. So when you go back down with your needle, you just tie it through, and you basically like saved your place here, so that in case you by any chance need to cut your string, and if by some chance you have some problem or whatever, you can just cut it and it'll be fine. This part won't tear away because you've created a knot. And so that's like the easy way, and I'll show you how to do it again. You go up, I'm gonna do kind of a better, closer towards the edge. So you go up, make sure to leave that loop down at the bottom, and then I'm just gonna scrunch this because I need a depth in the hat. So then you come back through and you go through that loop, and you just put your needle right through it, and you pull up. Ugh, I keep having this problem. Sometimes this happens where the string will just kind of knot itself, and then you can't really like tie it. And this is where doing this really comes in handy, because this is one of those instances where I have to cut my string. And the nice thing is that this whole part will hold because I have that knot. And one last knot to make sure that it's secure. And we can go ahead and cut this. And of course the one that I film is probably the worst one that I've done so far. But it's okay. It's totally okay. Not everything has to be perfect. So Dale likes to keep his hat to the side, so I'm gonna, you know, kind of just leave it this way because I think it'll work. Now that the hat is done, we can do the shirt. So again, I kind of just glued it to the original fabric. I'm gonna use a yellow thread this time for the shirt piece because it'll match most with this. I don't really have like a true yellow color, so like this kind of like, I don't even know what color this is, like, let's just call it light yellow, or like lemon. This kind of lemon meringue color is like the closest that I've got. And I just described a color as lemon meringue. I have serious issues right now. Okay, so the style that I used for the shirts in sewing is slightly different. I'm just gonna thread it through. I'll show you. And also what I noticed, and feel free to do things differently if it works better for you, I tried doing the hat first with Mickey, and it didn't really work out very well in my favor, and kind of had some problems with it because I had to pull the hat up in order to keep sewing, and I'll show you in just a minute what I mean by that. And so I am doing the shirts before I do the hat, and then I'm kind of like sewing the hat into the shirts. Let me just finish up this knot, and then I'll show you what I mean with Mickey. So if you have like a different way of doing it, that is totally fine. You can do it that way. It was just more of a headache for me doing the hat first. So I learned from my mistakes, and on all the rest of them, I've been doing the shirts first and then the hat. So with Mickey, you know, I have his hat and it was already sewed on, and then I did the shirt and I sewed the shirt directly to the skin so that it wouldn't come up, because I don't want you to see that there was a shirt underneath it. Although there are a couple points where you can tell that there's, you know, obviously something underneath it, but it's only if you're pulling at it. And sewing that way, I had to pull the hat up, causing some of the threading that I sewed into the head come out a little bit. And so I'm just recommending that if you make costumes, to make sure that you do your shirts first. So I'm gonna do, which side do I want to start with? I'll start with this one. I'll start with the side with the sticker. So I cut off the big one. Were 2 stickers that came with it, or 2 tabs, I shouldn't say stickers. There were 2 tabs that came with it, and I cut off one of them just because it was kind of a nuisance and it was too big and I didn't need it. So you start at the very base. I'm starting at the top of the back foot. You come up and then straight through your fabric and then up, and then, like I said, this one I did slightly differently. So this one I went through the base, right where the original stitching is, or as close to it, as far away, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And then I went straight up like this, pull the needle through. Oops, let's not tie up his foot in this threading. And then I did it that way, so I was kind of like doing like this motion the whole way through. You'll see the more that I go. And Dale's shirt is all done. He's completely sewed on together. Now I'm gonna do the hat, and you can do this any way you want. With some of these hats I did them differently. With other ones, you know, I chose one particular style. So you can either sew just like parts of the hat on, like 1, 2, 3, and then make your knot and then cut it, do another knot, and then like 1, 2, 3, or you could sew all the way around, or whatever. Like, you can basically do this however you want. But my technique for doing this was to kind of like hide the bad work. Here on the top is kind of like some of the worst stitching, because we had like his tail and his marking that goes all the way from here, and so there was a lot more thread and a lot more fabric that went into this part here that was already existing. So when I put my needle in, it kind of made some chunkier thread marks. So my technique is to kind of like hide the mistakes. So I already did my knot, I already threaded it through his head. I'm just gonna thread it through the hat. On Buena Vista Street, Dale wears his hat to the side, so I'm following suit and I'm putting my hat to the side as well. So I'm planning, my phone's going off, this is totally unprofessional. So the way that I did the first couple is I just kind of went straight down the hat and then went back through the fur and up like so, pulled it up, and then went back through the hat, and that kind of gave me a strong enough base that I could keep working from. So now the hat isn't going anywhere, because with just 1 or 2 threads it's gonna start moving around and it's gonna go places you don't want it to. So I'm not gonna do it all the way through his head. I did that one with, I think, Goofy, and that was enough for me. So I'm only gonna do a couple threads, and then let me do one more so that I can lock it. Go straight underneath the fur, up through the hat, leave enough space for our loop. I'm gonna hold my finger in there because I can see this one trying to knot itself already. So let's go back down. I'm gonna go through the fur one last time, and then locking it with one loop. And then now I'm just gonna go straight underneath the hat like this, and I'm gonna bring it here to the red part of his shirt, his sweater vest essentially. I'm gonna go down into the sweater vest, come up into the hat, and I'm gonna make one lock here just in case, because I have a bad feeling. So I'm going up, and I'm gonna make the loop through the hat this time. For no reason, it's just a stylistic choice. Come up, make my lock, and then I'm gonna do just one more thread since I've already locked it, and it's pretty much securely in place. And then cut, and we are done. And that is Buena Vista Street Dale to match my other ones. And now I'm gonna work on Chip, and I'm just gonna basically do the exact same thing, but I'm not gonna bore you with showing that whole thing. I glued on his tie, I've got his hat, like his presets already, and I've got his shirt already, and now all I have to do is sew it all together. But that is how I made my Buena Vista Street Tsum costumes. If you have made or would like to make some costumes for your Tsums, if you have any, if you get to do that, if you want to, please post a picture to my Facebook. That link is below, and I would like to see what you guys have come up with. And also, if you have any other like techniques of sewing, please let me know. I just, again, only know what I know from my home ec class that I took years and years ago, but let's not bother with numbers. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys some other time, I guess. Yeah, have a great rest of your day. Bye!